The reason we exist is to help the families and communities of our clients win.
Ooh,
because
say that
when
again.
they win, we exist to help the families and communities of our clients win. Because when our clients win, that spreads out everywhere else.
Yeah.
And so it's that like waterfall impact that we're wanting to have. And if they know that their families are winning, if they know their communities are winning because they are healthy and they're in a good spot and they are on God's path, then we want to assist that.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get to hang out with my buddy, Todd Linder. Todd is the founder of LaunchPoint, which is going to be rebranding soon into Ministry to Marketplace. So you can probably get a sense for what he's about just from the name. And then a special, well, first of all, welcome to the show, Todd. It's good to have you here.
Man, thanks so much for having me here. It's already been fun getting to know you and excited to go deeper.
Dude, I love the energy you have, man. Yeah, we're gonna dig into it. And so, speaking of energy, the special fact that you told me about yourself is that you used to be a full-time DJ. Tell us about the DJ life.
Yeah, well, full-time is, and I was working for a church, but they had me doing every single event, which was like 2-3 times a week. But I did also get paid to do other events, and the height of my career, what we were talking about was there's actually a club event promoter in China who found me through a connection and brought me over to their club to like headline this event in their club in China, which was a wild story for another time. Full of twists and unexpected turns, but it was a fun little part of my life for sure.
So what made you a good DJ? Why did you even pursue that as a pastime?
I think this has been a thread of my story. Is I think the Lord just places me in like really interesting spaces in the beginning stages of and the like high growth stages of like interesting things that are happening. So when I was in college, I went to the University of Georgia, and when I was there was an organization that had been around for a little bit, but it was just starting to grow. It's called Slam. And it was not like a fraternity or anything. It was a nonprofit run by some students that just wanted to provide a non-alcoholic alternative to the downtown scene at the University of Georgia, which at the time of me going to college, it was rated the #1 party school by Princeton Review. There are more bars per square foot in downtown Athens than any other city or town in the country.
Wow.
So that's just this one guy and his brother, and then eventually some other people said, we just want to create a cool alternative. So they just said, the way we're going to do this is we're going to throw better parties than everyone else.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be that hard because we're in college and just takes a little bit of extra creativity. And they threw the most fun, best parties. And by the time I was a senior in college, there were 4,000 students coming to these parties. The total student population of the University of Georgia at the time was 35,000 students.
Yeah.
So over 10% of the entire student body was coming to these events. And I was there and I happened to be a part of it.
Yes.
And I never actually DJ'd. I was usually the guy who's like recruiting people to come help and volunteers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I DJ'd a couple of times and I really enjoyed it. And then when I graduated from college, I went and worked for a large church in the Atlanta area. And DJ music was like the cool thing at the time. And my boss, we were running a college event and he said, do you know any DJs? So I called all of my buddies who I did Slam with who did the DJing, and none of them were available. I was like, well, I've done it a couple times, so like I can try. And apparently it was great because then I became the in-house resident DJ, which led me to do more student events, which led me to do the student camp, which had like, it was an arena with 5,000 students in it. So I was the opener for that, which then eventually led me to do that other thing.
I wish I could have seen you in your DJ days. You still ever do it?
No, I actually sold my turntables to an actual professional DJ
Yeah.
who is still doing it today. But I got married, and the late night life was not for me.
Adulthood beckons.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Totally get it. Another casualty of growing up, man. Those turntables.
Yeah, 3 a.m. in the club really wasn't doing it for me.
No, your wife is not signing up for that.
No.
All right, so cool, man. So now tell us a little bit about your company. So Launch Point, which is rebranding, coming in the new year.
Yeah. So we help people who are in transition from vocational ministry roles. So pastors, missionaries, campus ministers, people who are raising support for their salaries. Those people really frontline, like missions, people who are on the front line of ministry work, who are wanting to transition into non-ministry or marketplace type of roles. We help them to make that transition without getting overlooked because of their experience, and get jobs that they're actually excited about and that will support their family financially. And we do that through our Interview Accelerator program, which is a mix of a process that we've refined of exactly what you need to do step by step, a community of other job seekers who are on the same journey as you, because that can be really lonely, as you know, Johnny, and also with coaching support as well.
That's powerful. It's funny because I immediately go back to a time in my life when it would have been nice to have that. And so what makes you passionate about this work?
Yeah, that's a great question. The transition from my church job that I was working at was really catalytic for me to walking more in, I think, who God created me to be. And so I am not against people working for churches or in ministry. I live like 6 houses up the street from one of the pastors at our church. We're good friends. We talk about this stuff all the time. But for me, and the way God created me, the reason I went into ministry is because I was young, I was single, I wanted to do something really impactful with my life. And I did feel called to do that at the time. And that was the only expression in which I knew how to do that. And then I got married, started learning that maybe I'm not designed the same way. And it was starting to get kind of confusing of where I belonged and purpose. And in some ways it became, I felt like an outsider.
Yes.
Like an example of all my coworkers were going to seminary, and I was studying to take the GMAT to get an MBA. And it was kind of this mismatch of like, I just feel like something's off here. And eventually I felt the release to go do that. And when I made the transition, the amount of stress from wondering, am I leaving God's calling for my life? Am I going to be outside of God's will? Am I going to disappoint all these people? I can't talk about this with other people because people either don't understand or they disapprove. Yep. All of that just dissipated. I think I lost like 20 pounds of stress weight.
Dang,
my marriage got better. My friendships got better.
Yeah.
And I started living more in how God actually created me vocationally and wired me vocationally. And it was this like wake up of, oh, there's a really good season. And now this is the next really good season. And that's okay. But in the in-between, I felt really, really stuck. And once I was able to make that transition, it created an immense amount of freedom for me in the world around me, but also internally to discover how God created me. Also helped me to untangle some very unhelpful beliefs about myself and about the way the world works and even about God. And so I know that I don't believe that a career change can changes your life, but I do believe that it can be a catalyst to set you on that path. And so that's why we do what we do. If I was to put it in a phrase, like what we talk about internally with our team is the reason we exist is to help the families and communities of our clients win.
Ooh, say that again.
When they win, we exist to help the families and communities of our clients win. Because when our clients win, that spreads out everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
And so it's that like waterfall impact that we're wanting to have. And if they know that their families are winning, if they know their communities are winning because they are healthy and they're in a good spot and they are on God's path, then we want to assist that. So that's how I got into this, and that's why we do it.
Dude, that's powerful, man. I'm gonna underline something here that I just noticed from the fact that we're even having this conversation. It's hard enough to transition jobs if you're just out in the job market and you've lost your job and now you need to go and find another job. That's hard. But what if you're transitioning from vocational ministry out into the marketplace? What makes that different or harder from what you can tell?
Yeah.
Because you're solving that. You got your guns aimed at that problem specifically, right? Which means there's something different about that problem than just going from job to job in the marketplace. So what is it that makes it harder?
Yeah, I had such an interesting experience last Friday night. I was hanging out with some guys in my Bible study. We were doing a little fire pit, and somebody in the Bible study asked me the exact same thing. And I'm standing next to a chaplain of a high school who's been in ministry his whole entire life. And on the other side of me is a guy who's like a director of sales at a very successful tech startup. And immediately, as soon as this guy asked this question to me, the guy over here, the director of sales, said, well, they have no skills.
Yeah.
Like his just off the bat. What makes it so hard?
Yeah.
Well, they don't have any skills. It's like, so from the hiring manager's perspective, that's what you're up against.
Yes.
For a lot of people. Not everyone thinks that, but for a lot of people. And then the chaplain on the other side went on to say, like, man, I've done this all my life. Like, I wouldn't know how I would make money.
Yeah.
Next. And so there's all this stuff I talked about, which is all these internal unhelpful beliefs, the self-doubt. In some circles, there's a ministry mentality of, I'm not worth that much financially. Like, I get all my credit in heaven. But I should not be paid that much. And so they're even looking for jobs that are what they're used to making, which are generally like entry level or above, but they are 47 years old and no one's hiring a 47-year-old for an entry level because that's a flight risk. So there's just a lot of mismatch of even how the job world works when you're on this side with the doubts of, I don't know what I would even do, or how do I even talk about my experience? Or how do I even get into interviews? Or how do I get into a conversation and ask them for help? Because I'm the one who's always been helping everybody else for free without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
And now I have to ask for help for maybe the first time in my adult life from somebody else. And usually I'm the one giving career advice on the other end, counseling someone, helping them. So it's just a very discombobulating place to be from the ministry side. And then on the marketplace side, you have to overcome all the objections to the experience you have and don't have that they assume you don't have.
Yeah, there's a peculiar complexity to it, isn't there? Right? Now, what are some of the unhelpful beliefs that you had to work through?
I think one main one was that the only or the best way to be in the will of God was to be vocationally working in ministry, to get my W-2 from a church.
Yes.
And I've just found that's not true at all. In the kingdom of heaven, there is no like better or worse. Although some theologians would tell you differently, and some seminaries would tell you differently, and some Bible colleges might push you differently, and in church staff meetings you might hear differently. But I just learned that's not true. I think what is more true is that purpose just isn't in your face all the time as much.
Yeah, yeah.
We're just not talking about salvation every day. Of like, oh, look at this person got baptized, or this kid came to their classroom after the little teaching time and said, I want to, like, we're not having those conversations every day. Doesn't mean that it's less purposeful. It just means it's not in your face as much. And that was probably the largest one for me
Yeah.
that I had to work through.
Dude, this is a great place for me to give a shout out to Jordan Raynor. He talks about this a lot, man. Actually, like that's a lot of his. You and I have talked about him off camera, and that's a brother who I think is hitting that idea that secular work isn't sacred, right? Or that it's somehow second tier work from a kingdom perspective. And I think he's doing a lot of work to be like, nah, man, it's we can be top tier in the kingdom, right? Like we can be doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing at our desk, not working for a church, and doing incredible ministry and living a kingdom oriented life through what you would call secular work. And so y'all obviously y'all got to know it. Y'all should know each other at some point.
I hope so. Come on, Jordan, let's hang.
Yeah. So that was the big, and I've heard that one too, man. Gosh. And then, were there any others? Were there any other limiting beliefs that you found that you had to overcome in order to effectively transition?
One probably simpler one was rest. We talk about how, it's all up to God, but oftentimes we don't act like that. And that's still something that I struggle with. So I'd say that's still an unhelpful belief that is being untangled.
Yeah.
But for sure, when it feels like the stakes are on the line all the time, eternal all the time, man, I burn myself out.
Yeah.
And I, unfortunately, and this is my fault, so I'm not going to blame anybody else, I became bitter and jaded, and which probably in some ways expedited my transition out. But also in some ways probably kept me there longer because I could not see clearly. That's been and was a big piece of, it's not all up to me.
Yeah.
And you would expect a pastor to you get that, you're the pastor. And it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I think on the flip side, one of the things that I hope that people would see is that pastors are people that want friends and are lonely and are not perfect and have hopes and dreams sometimes outside of being your pastor.
Sure.
And want to take their family on vacation without having to borrow the rich board member's lake house. And it's like, there's just they have their own stuff going on. They're exactly the same type of person as you. And, man, it breaks my heart when I hear pastors say, I have no friends. Or I can talk to two people on the globe. Yep. And it's I think I also thought pastors are other. Not me. My pastors were other. And it's just a reality of hey, they might have some really cool calling on their life that's different than mine, but they are not without any of the same things that I need. In this world from the Lord.
That's a good word, man. So how did you get unbitter and unjaded?
2 books plus some really, really great friends. The first book, which I think has become probably a more common one, is Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. Pete Scazzaro. Man, just illuminated so many places in my heart that needed to be illuminated. I did not realize how emotionally unhealthy I was and how that was impacting me spiritually. Yeah. And then another is an old John Townsend book, Dr. John Townsend. It's called Hiding from Love. Yeah. I think it was written back in the 80s maybe. I was introduced to that. And, just breaking down how we create walls of defense in order to basically say, I want to be loved, but I don't want to take the risk of what love requires. And so here are the walls of defense that I'm putting up. And I don't know if I'm lovable. And that was huge for me because I felt like working at a church, I had to have walls up to protect my image and I am this person that everybody else thinks whatever, whether or not they actually thought something special about me or not. I felt like I had to maintain a PR image because, when you got into the world, you're representing Christ. So I was the PR rep for Jesus, and that was hard to not let people in the midst of my sin, because that was maybe wouldn't look good for the church or wouldn't look good for Jesus. Not that anybody told me that directly. That was just something I believed.
Yeah, it's easy to believe it. Yeah, to get isolated. Yeah,
and it created a lot of bitterness and anger inside of me there's family of origin stuff, obviously. We all have some of that. Other factors. But I actually was in a master's program for organizational leadership through John Townsend's Institute over at Concordia University, Irvine. It was a fantastic program. I loved it. And what they start you with is they say, okay, by graduating from this program, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to be helping people, you're going to be helping organizations, you're going to help them thrive. But before you can help other people, you have to know how to help yourself. And so they put us through like intense group therapy.
Wow.
And it was like,
amazing.
I think like 3 or 4 days of what we called your process group. And we would go into main sessions and then come back and sit in our process group. And it was like a requirement for every single person to cry in it. And there was a moment I hadn't cried in I don't even know how long. And there was a moment where they just, something dug in, as the Holy Spirit just dug in. And I shared about my anger, my bitterness, and how it was impacting me and how it was impacting my wife, how it was impacting my work. For the first time, honestly, and everyone looked at me around the circle and just nodded and said, thank you for sharing. That does not change how I think about you. I love you, and you're welcome here.
Wow.
For me,
got you. Dude.
Blown.
Yes.
In that program, they call it a mismatching experience.
Yes.
So you need a mismatch in your brain, the neuroplasticity, to rewire. You have to have something that makes your brain go like, wait a second, what just happened? Like a little skip in the matrix there. Like something's off here. And that for me helped unlock a door into health.
Wow.
And it, man, just so grateful for that moment and that group and that program and those resources.
Dude, thank you for sharing this. There's a couple things that are just kind of crash landing into my brain as you're talking, into my brain and my heart. The first is, man, I respect you and the vessel that God created. Because now the work that you're doing, so often I interview people, and what I find is the gift that we give the gift to the world that was given to us, right? So because that's the gift that you can give from your guts, right? Because you have cried the tears, right? Like you have felt all the emotions. You know how it feels. And so, and God brought you through it and brought you to a thriving place on the other side of it. And therefore, that's the person I want to, if I'm about to engage in the journey of, ministry to marketplace, that's the person that I want to be guiding me, right? Is the person who has felt the pain, who has wrestled all the wrestles, who has found illumination, who is, I know you're a work in progress, but you were transformed through this process, right? Something actually happened. And so I praise God for you, man. And for those that are, watching this, that maybe are in ministry or in some kind of transition like this, I'd love to give you a chance to speak to that person's heart. Like somebody that's, that's contemplating ministry to marketplace, or maybe just contemplating a big change along those lines where they can relate in some way. What would you say to that person?
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, Johnny. It's very kind of you. I think the first place is if you're feeling grief, that's okay. And it's actually good because grief is a sign that you're losing or have lost something that at one time was good. So most people, when they in my conversations, when they transition into ministry at first, whether it's right out of college or in some other season, the intention was really good and the experience is really good. And sometimes transition out is just like, oh, we're just going out and no harm, no foul. Like, everybody's cool here. But a lot of times there is some pain to it that caused the transition in one way or another. And I would say, number one, like, the grief is okay to feel. And it's worth wrestling with, like, where that grief comes from. Because I think grief brings a heart of gratitude. Or it can. Because you're remembering the good thing. Yep. So that's the first thing I would say is, like, it's okay to wrestle. And then the discernment process is a long process. You cannot microwave that thing. Should I transition? Should I not transition? And you have to think through, what's your vision for you and your family in the future? What's important to you about your life and how you engage with other people and work? Yep. And it's okay to take all of those things into consideration, even and want to go in another direction, even if it's not the popular or the praised thing to do. Sure. And it won't be, more likely than not. Right. And just know that, like, if your heart is to honor God, it's between you and the Holy Spirit. But if your heart is to honor God and love your family and be a light in your community, you can get your W-2 from just about anywhere. Yeah. So how would you help them combat the idea? Because one of the thoughts, and I've actually dealt with this myself, right? Like, the voice that tells you you're just being selfish, right? You're just being selfish and you're just being worldly, right? And that's the only reason that you're wanting to leave this ministry context, right? And these problems, there are these problems here, but there are going to be problems. And these are just hardships that you should just be accepting. Right. Like how do you speak to the guilt, or the shame of that voice that's telling you, when it comes right down to it, you're just being selfish? Man, that was so many times that those thoughts came into my head. In the conversations that I have had, I can speak more personally to myself, and it'll land obviously different with lots of different people. Most of the conversations I have with people are, I've already determined, I've already discerned this is the next thing, and I've come to peace with this idea of, am I sinning for making more money? Yep. We had a guy in our group who's like, I want a mountain house in Colorado. It's like, that's not for me to tell you you're wrong. That's not for me to like be the Holy Spirit and convict you on. Like, that's between you and God. One of the one of the interesting concepts I've been learning a lot about is the ability to get my will into neutral and let God put it into drive. Yeah. And there's a really great book I've been reading recently called Sacred Pace by Terry Looper. Yeah. He's a business guy, but he has this 4-step decision-making process for any decision in life. And step 1 is consult your friend Jesus. And I think just that in itself is like, okay, well, what is and he specifically says your friend Jesus. Yes, dude. And like defining it as it's getting me. I love it. Yeah. Defining it as your friend Jesus and not just like Jesus, because that's Jesus, God, like that can mean a lot of things. But when you add that little clarifier there of the relationship, now it's like, okay, well, what would a friend who knows all, sees all, and cares more about me and my family than anyone else ever could, like, what would they say in this moment? And who is a truth teller 100% of the time? What would they say in this moment? And knowing the scripture with that's really important. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is to test and like actually go do your research after that. So like gather the facts. Don't just blindly walk out there. Like I talk to people sometimes like, I'm just going to go start a consulting business. I'm like, that's great because it's probably what you've done internally and you'd be really good at that. Do you know how much you need to make? They're like, no. It's like, okay, let's walk through. How much do you want to make? You want to take home $120,000 a year? Okay. Realistically, you probably need to bring in double that in a year.
Yep.
How do you feel if you quit your job today? So what is that? $20,000 a month? How do you feel if you quit your job today, whatever your runway is, making $20,000 a month in the next 3 months? And it's like, it's like, yeah, just gather the facts. Like, what's it going to take to make that move? Yeah. That's super helpful. That's number one. Yeah. Or number two. Yeah. Number three in his step is watch for signs.
Yeah.
Which is just simply like, go experiment a little bit and then see what happens. We're running an experiment in our business right now.
Yeah.
Where we thought it was a great idea. I talked to all these people. They're like, wow, amazing idea. And then we went to go test it with a beta group. And it was like, it's like, all right, those are the signs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But number 4 is getting to neutral. And so getting my will into neutral, because if I could do all those 3 things, but if my will was not in neutral, then I would just be like, but it's a great idea. Let's go. And I do it anyway. And it probably failed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the transition, thinking about, well, maybe I do want more money for my family. Okay. Consult with your friend Jesus. That's great. Practically, how is that going to happen?
Do your homework.
Number 3, watch for the signs. You go ask your boss for a raise. Like, that's the easiest way to do that. If that's the one thing that's making you think about a transition, how much more money do you need? $20,000? Go ask your boss for it. If they say no, that is one data point. It's one sign. That's great.
Yep.
And now get your will into neutral. Like, if you secretly just want to, like, go get a bigger house so you can impress people that you've never been able to.
Yeah.
Well, that's between you and God. That's the wrestling part of getting your will to neutral. Doesn't mean the big house is bad, but you definitely shouldn't do it for that reason. So that's been my process learning, and I think it's can be really helpful in that process of like, oh, I want this nice car. Okay, why? Okay, that's the reason why. Interesting. I mean, it's bad. Just why?
Yeah, man, that's a beautiful nugget, man. The idea of getting your will into neutral, and then there are so many other ways to say that, but I love the idea of will into neutral, like a car, right? And it's like, okay, that's like open-handed, right? I'm holding this with an open hand. It's holy resignation. It's like, okay, it's Lord, let your will be done and not my will. But then it's this tension though, because the engine's still running in neutral. So it's not like you're saying, I turned the car off, right? And I'm separating myself entirely from the outcome, right? And I just expect all of it to be done for me. If this is what you want, then I guess it'll all be done for me, and I can turn my engine off. And it's like, no, it's not that, right? It's neutral. You're still active. But now you're waiting for God to put you into drive, right? With his blessing. And you're looking, okay, is God putting me into drive? And here's all these ways to test and see if he is. I love it, dude. I think there's a lot to be gained from that language. And you said the book is called Sacred Pace?
Sacred Pace by Terry Looper.
Terry Looper?
Yeah, it's on my bookshelf somewhere. It might take me too long.
Yeah, that's going to bless somebody, man. Somebody here is gonna hear this and get,
here we go.
Get on Amazon real quick.
Yeah, here's what it looks like for people watching.
Grab
it's kind of like a
stuff.
skyscape.
Yeah, man.
With a field and some mountains in the background.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's been a gift.
A lot of my questions, so we're getting down towards the end. We're winding down with the time that we have. But I do want to ask a little bit more about the person that comes across your doorstep. And we know it's somebody who's going from ministry into marketplace, but can you tell us more about the flavor of that person? And again, so that people that are watching, their ears can perk up because either they are in this situation or they know somebody that's in this situation that needs to call you. Tell us a little bit more about who you're looking for.
Yeah. Generally, the person that we are helping is somebody who is not early in their ministry journey. I'd say the average age is in someone who's like in their 40s, but that there's a deviation on either side of that. So we've got clients in their 60s, we've got people in their early 30s, but it's generally people who are in a leadership position in their ministry, who generally, not always, but generally have a family, they got kids, they got a mortgage. They're starting to think about future in a different way. Stuff's getting expensive around here. I don't know if anybody's noticed. It's getting more expensive. So they're just starting to think about that. Also culturally, the last 5 years or 5.5 years working in ministry, holy cow, like, don't envy anybody having to navigate the last 5.5 years culturally as a leader in a ministry organization. So someone who's like, hey, I think like my time here is done, or God's calling me to something else. And I know for sure that's not a ministry position, another one. That's the type of person who I think we're really well positioned to help. And at this point, time of this recording, you can see behind me, we've helped 105 people make that transition.
I love the counting device, dude. The counter is so great, bro. I love it, dude.
It was a fun addition to the office, for sure. So that's generally the type of person. And background matters a little bit less, like what you've done. We've got creatives, we've got lead pastors, we've got executive pastors, we've got missionaries, we've got executive directors, we've got communication people, we got marketing people, we got worship leaders. Like, we got people all over this, like the scope. It's probably more of the positionally, you're leading people and you don't want to start over. Like, that's just something you don't want to do.
Right.
And generally people who have already tried. I'd say the average number of applications that someone's already put in is somewhere between 30 and 50 when they come into our group. So usually what I would say is to people is, hey, if you haven't started yet, go try it out. Unless you need a job 45 days from now, then that might not work out super well. You go Google how long does it take to get a job. It's probably going to tell you somewhere between 5 to 8 months. But if you want to get a job faster and not have to guess, or you've already tried stuff and you kind of feel like you're running out of steam, that's the perfect person that I think we're really well positioned to help.
That's very clear. The people. I was going to ask, what about nonprofit people? Because that sometimes that line between the nonprofit and church people can be a little bit blurry. Are you specifically, hey, ministry, church ministry people, this is who we help? Or, hey, there might be some people at faith-based nonprofits that need the exact same loving that the church people need. Totally.
We will definitely help those people as well. I would say the main thing, we'll also help people who are 1 or 2 jobs removed from ministry, but ministry is the lion's share of their background experience. So we've got a couple people in our group right now who are account executives at tech companies, and they hate it. But before that, 2 years before that, they were a pastor for 15 years.
Dude.
So definitely have to help people like that. The only thing we don't do is helping people transition the other way, like into ministry or into another ministry job. Not because that's a bad idea. It's just a totally different process. And so it's just not what we specialize in.
Yeah. So the payoff for you is when you get to help somebody who's moving from ministry into marketplace find a dream job, a dream fit, like it checks all the boxes, supports the family, engages their passion, leverages their gifting. Am I right in saying that that's like those 105 people that we're looking at over there? That's how you're judging whether you're successful with them.
Yeah, that's the goal. Ultimately, I think the more I've learned about work is work doesn't have to give you all of that stuff, although it can.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, it's you need to be in a job where you're using the skills that you've developed and the giftings that God has given you.
Yes.
Be in a great organization with great people and be able to pay and be able to feed your family and have that upward mobility that generally most people are looking for financially. we hit that, we're gold. Yeah.
Say those exciting. 3 again, please. Those are really clear. I'd love for you to say them again. The 3.
So getting in a job, I'll try to do my best. Getting in a job that you are using the skills that you've developed and the giftings that God has given you. You're with great people, working for a great organization.
Good culture.
And you're getting compensated well enough to feed your family and have the upward trajectory, upward mobility that generally people are looking for.
Yep. Yeah.
An example of that, I got a call yesterday from a former client of ours. He was working for a ministry. He was raising support. Him, wife, 3 kids, making $45,000 a year. We helped him get into a sales role. He went from $45,000 to just under $200,000 a year.
Wow.
And he called me yesterday to say he put in his notice to get another job where he's going to make almost $300,000 a year. And he was in our program a year and a half ago.
Wow.
So in 18 months, he 6x'd his compensation.
Yeah.
And he's loving life. He's super excited about the team that he's going to work on. They wiped out all debt in 1 commission check for that first job.
Wow.
Like, this is the type of stuff. We talk about freedom. We talk about freedom, like being free from debt. Man, that's the dream right there. That's what we're aiming for, is those types of results.
All right. So last question for you. This has been great, by the way. Like, man, I feel like I understand you and what you're trying to do and what you're gifted and called to do so well after this conversation.
Good.
I can probably articulate your value proposition almost as good as you from the time that we're spending.
Great. Well, I'll just send this episode to everybody.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. So what's your dream? What's your big dream for the future? The impact that you'd like to make, what's written on your headstone. Where are you angling towards? What's the mountaintop that you're heading towards?
Man, that's a great question. I have working out of college at a really great, huge ministry organization making global impact that I was a part of, transitioning at the end of 2018. I'd say in the last 7 years, I have learned to just become so much more content with the simple things that are going to leave a legacy, which is my family and the immediate people around me. And what fires me up is when I would hope that my grandkids are telling stories about like the funny things that I did or the fun memories we created together. And then maybe there's something about someone else telling a great story of how I helped them, and that's great. But at the end of the day, like, I could run a firewood delivery business, and if we had an amazing family that loved Jesus and wanted to be together and really was like blessing the community, that's sign me up. Like, that's the end of the day for me.
Oh, bro. How old are you?
36.
36, man. That's some great perspective, dude. That's some old man wisdom. Praise God for you, man. I praise God for that perspective. Before we close up, I have a bonus question. I see Spider-Man behind you, man. What's up with Spider-Man?
That's a funny story of, I think stories of failure are better teachers and more fun to tell than stories of success. Yeah. And there was a time in our business where I had somebody, a mentor at the time, tell me that I should start a particular coaching business, coaching high school kids who are trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their life. Career's always kind of been my thing, but that in particular. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I would sign my kids up for something like that. You should totally do it. He was an entrepreneur himself. So all us entrepreneurs have all the ideas. And so I got as creative as I could. I was thinking through all this curriculum, developed all this curriculum, and worked on it for 9 months. And after 9 months, we had 2 people sign up, and neither one of them were his kids. And I hated every minute of it too, because it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was just a good idea someone else had.
Yes.
And so a part of it was the visualization of Spider-Man is like, what's your story that you're telling in your life looking back? Like everyone knows the Spider-Man story of here's the tragic things, here's the moment, here's the arc. What happened for you? What was your light bulb moment? What was your activation point? Like all that stuff. So kind of using the Spider-Man stories. And so I have that as a reminder to make sure that I'm always listening to other people, but not necessarily doing what they tell me I should do, and check everything through the filters that I know now better are the filters that I need. So it's just a good reminder for that.
Oh, dude, man, you are a.
But I also love.
Me too. I'm there with you. You are a treasure chest of wisdom, my friend. Thank God for you. For who you are in the world, what you're doing in the world. Anybody that's listening, if you're the kind of person that comes across Todd's doorstep, seek him out, because every once in a while we run into somebody who's just uniquely gifted to do a specific thing. And when it comes to this ministry to marketplace transition, I don't know anybody like Todd. Todd, I don't know anybody like you. For that just is so custom created and handcrafted by the Father to do this particular thing extremely well. So Todd, thanks for joining us, man.
And very encouraged. Thank you so much, Johnny. And
everybody who stayed with us to this point, man, send people to Todd. That's all I got to tell you. Send people to Todd, man. We'll see you next time. Appreciate you all for hanging with us. Take it easy.